Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only Beth Traverso. How you doing, Beth?
Hey, doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me back.
A couple of quick things. First and foremost, I want to congratulate you for getting
Oh,
one of
yes.
these. Right, I got that
It's
selfie.
great. It's ready. It's in my on my wall of fame, where I'm gonna put all my
Oh,
special. Yeah. So it's a
that's
quite a thing having that. So thank you.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You got the shout out last week in the
Yeah.
Daily Financial
I
News.
saw
It was
that
a
and that was
seller
made my
financing
heart
deal.
feel warm. Thank you.
Oh, that is awesome. But what I really find interesting about you is you're an action taker. What do I mean by that? I think it was last week or maybe the week before I talked about what I'm trying to do to uncover seller financed opportunities. And you sent me a note the next day, I think it was, basically saying, hey, I took your idea, I ran with it. And oh, by the way, I found seller financing deals in the MLS.
Yeah.
So I thought we
I
should talk about it. Some people think these are only like off market, behind, handshake deals. They're actually in the MLS, at least in
yeah.
California. There's a box that says seller financing, yes or no. Most of the time it's no, but sometimes it's yes. So tell us about looking in the MLS for seller financing.
Right. So it's an interesting thing, because a lot of people think these, like I said, these seller finance deals are these mystical unicorns that aren't for the regular people. And you have to be somebody who knows somebody who's in some secret group to get these things. And it
Special
really is,
handshake.
I know, right? If you don't know the password, you're not getting in, and it's like, so, and I won't say that there isn't an element to that, but most of them I'd say probably are off market, but some are on market. And I started looking at this recently because I'm always scouting out there every day. And I just organically started coming across some listings that said seller willing to carry a contract or owner financing available. And I was like, oh, interesting, because here's what I want to emphasize to people. Every market has its challenges. 6 months ago, the challenge was, how do I get my offer accepted? There's 15 buyers vying for this and it's crazy and I can't get a deal. Now it's a different challenge. Rates went up. There aren't as many buyers. However, that poses its own challenge of how do we make the numbers work for cash flow, et cetera, et cetera. So what we need to do is look into what can we do? What actions can we take? How can we make this work? Because people are making it work in every market, whether it's that crazy market or this market or whatever's coming next. There are people out there that are finding things that are going to work. And this is a great way to do it. This is what I think is a low hanging fruit, is that listed properties that are willing to entertain seller financing. So now what I would recommend buyers do is talk to their agents. Some aren't even really aware of this field because it's so buried in the listing input and nobody ever had to check that box. But I find the easiest way to search for it is, well, in my Northwest MLS, there's a potential terms and it has like
Terms.
conventional FHA, VA, and one of them is owner finance.
Owner
And
financing, yeah.
so we just have your agent look for it, check that, whatever it is in your MLS, just find out what that is. I find that's better than, don't search for it in the marketing remarks.
Oh,
You'll miss some things, or you might, if you don't type it exactly right, it won't show up, or somebody does. And we look for it in the drop down, check the box, or find out what it is and see what you get. I looked in a really wide area, anywhere I would consider, or even just to see. I was just curious, and I found over 100. I think I found 180 in the areas that I was looking. So that's a lot of opportunity there. It doesn't say what those terms are, but I would say, hey, that's the beauty of seller financing, is you go in there and you negotiate. And one thing I want to tell people, there seems to be this myth out there that sellers why would they do this? Because they can get more money putting it in treasuries or whatever. I don't, all those things that people are talking about now. That's not necessarily true. So, or why would they're going to want a higher interest rate because they want what the banks would get or whatever. That's not necessarily true. So part of your job as a buyer is to find out what's important to the seller, because it may not be that. Some people don't trust the markets and things. They don't want to put their money in those things. Some people, they just want to find, they just want a certain payment every month. It depends. You got to learn their situation. You got to diagnose what that seller needs.
Yeah, again, folks, these are in the MLS.
Yes.
They again, not a lot. We would certainly hope for more. I think there's a couple of things that are true. First off, I've been reading about real estate for 30 years. And I've actually read a lot about 1980 and 81. Most of the real estate transactions that got down those years were either cash or they were some type of seller help. Usually there was a lot of what's called silent seconds, meaning zero interest, zero payments for some duration. Because again, these sellers bought when their rates were 7 or 8, and then suddenly buyers were coming in at 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, I just can't
They
even imagine. Yeah.
couldn't make it work. So again, I think where we're heading into this winter, we're going to see more and more sellers come out. I believe this so much, Beth. Because you're an agent in a high price market, I'm going to share with you a crazy idea I shared with the world this morning. So my market, Fresno, California, let's call median price 500. There's a part of town where it's not uncommon to have $1 million homes. Northwest Fresno, 93730. I own no rentals there. I own no rentals close to there, right? It's just so not my jam. Because they don't cash flow, right? If you play Monopoly, Boardwalk and Park Place are not great rentals. They're trophy properties. They're not great rentals. Well, I'm going to go try to buy Boardwalk and Park Place, but this is how. I'm going to pay list price. Seller gets their price. I'm going to bring 10% to the closing table so the agents get paid. And then we get to have a conversation about terms. I'm going to have the terms so I cash flow day one. I can hold it forever, and I'm going to have, worst case, a 15-year balloon due. Why not?
Yeah.
Their price, my terms.
Nibbles on that? Are you putting that? Have you made offers like that yet?
Not yet. No, this is a crazy idea I got yesterday. I put it out this morning, so I'm making phone calls. And again, this is all action. So what did I do? I went to PropStream because I'm not an MLS agent, so I use PropStream for data. I put in the zip code, free and clear properties in this zip code. 1,800 plus properties free and clear. I'm like, wow, more than I thought.
A lot. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, there's a little checkbox that says on market. I checked that box. 36 listings. I'm like, I'm going to be calling 36 agents and saying, how old is your listing? When it gets near expiration date, I have an idea for you. Right? And then, oh, by the way, do I do a mailer? Do I do this? It doesn't matter. The idea is I'm going to use, because in my market, the luxury is dead, right? It was dead at 6%. It's going to be dead under the doornail at 7%. But oh, by the way, I'm a buyer. I'll pay list. I'm not going to ask for a crazy discount. I'll bring real cash so the agents get paid. But we're going to have a sit-down conversation about rent and payment and the length of balloon so that I can hold it forever. So I am going to do this once. If this works, Beth, I will 1031 out of all my first-time homebuyer homes into luxury rentals, and my portfolio will look very different in 2 years. How crazy is that?
I like that. I like the creativity and the problem solving, the what if, it could, how can it work? Let's have a discussion about it. I think the best agents and buyers out there are going to be stretching their minds a little bit and getting a little more skilled with problem solving than the normal everything we've been doing for all these years. So
yeah, I think
that's a good thing.
I think we're early. Like this, like I'm always trying to look for the future. So this a lot of agents in Fresno probably hear this today and are like poo-pooing it. But I promise you, in 60 or 70 days, when you haven't had a commission check, you got to pay your marketing bill, and you're going to suddenly go, you know what? I got this crazy buyer, Mike Zuber. He says he's getting a list price. And I know my owner owns it free and clear. Maybe I should have a conversation. Yeah, you should you should go have a conversation.
So, yeah, and I have to say, agents as a group sometimes are a little bit reluctant to change this way things have always been done. And that's not true just of agents. It's true of people in general. I want to be fair. But yeah, it's just hard to just shift to a different track. There are some agents out there who've been doing this since the 80s, and some of them are just like, oh yeah, I know what to do. You do this, do this, and here's what we were doing back then. And I would like to I need to find one of those people near me and talk to them about that. Most people I know have not been in business 40 years, so I bet there's some out there.
But just play this out because you have a portfolio. Like take your most painful rental today and just think about, you know what? If we sold that in 1031 into a luxury rental, that cash flowed guaranteed because you did the numbers, how fun would that be? And oh, by the way, because you're a real estate professional, you get bonus depreciation, cost segregation, all these extra things. Like I buy $1 million house. I probably write off $300,000 in depreciation because of bonus depreciation if it closes this year.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's something I have not taken advantage of that I probably should, because it's still going to be around next year. Or
Yeah,
it's going to be less.
this year's the last full year.
Mhm.
Next year's 80%, then 60, then 40, then
Mm.
20.
I should talk to my CPA about doing some things about that maybe for
Yeah, if
next year.
you
Probably too
close,
late for this year.
no,
Maybe not. We'll see.
you
No?
can. I mean, I
Okay.
did one. No, as
Mhm.
long as you close and it's operational by December 31st, you can start the study. I have a
Okay.
guy in my channel. Yeah, there's actually a playlist. You should go watch it.
Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, he saved me, it's like 60 grand last year or something because I only bought a
My
couple of little
gosh.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but think about it, $1 million guaranteed cash flow, new cost. It's just, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I
Yeah.
had to share
And
with you.
luxury rentals, I actually, not that I have too many, I don't really necessarily have luxury rentals, but I do have some higher end ones. And I do have to say they are the most worry-free proper, the tenants are golden and
Just boring,
it's
right?
so
Yeah.
easy.
It'd be fun. It'd
Yeah.
be
Well,
fun.
I want to say one more thing though. It's important. A
Please.
caveat about these on-market seller financed deals. Sometimes they're seller financed because they don't qualify for regular financing. There's something weird about it. It's a funky
Yes, the
manufactured
property.
home. There's
Yeah.
something contaminated in the soil, or who knows what. I'm just throwing things out there, but
You're
there's
right.
something funky about it that means it won't qualify for a standard loan at any
Yes.
interest rate.
Great call. Yes.
That you got to be very, very careful about that, because you can find yourself in a bad spot if you need to sell it later and you can't. And then
Yeah.
you only have cash buyers, or you're in the same spot where you have to offer something to get it done. And so you're really at a disadvantage. So be sure to have, you or your agent weed through those to see, why is it seller finance? That's the first question I'm looking at, is like, why is it?
Yeah.
So, and that's gonna shrink your list down quite a bit, because probably at least half of them are just oddballs.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I want to
Exactly.
mention that before people go around getting
Oh,
themselves maybe into a tough spot.
good idea. See, you're always protecting people, Beth. That's why they love you. Where can people find you if they wanted to follow you?
Yeah. So the easiest way to find me is on my website, bethtraversogroup.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.